Scratch and Sniff.
Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new series of SNS Online. Our showcase for actors, musicians, authors, scriptwriters, stand-up comedians and more continues. Frederick Forsyth, CBE, is generally far better known for writing blockbuster thrillers, many of which are made the big screen, rather than intimate works of poetry. Well, Fallen Soldier, a poem indeed written by Forsyth and set to music by Gareth Williams, is out now to help raise money for military charities in the UK. To find out more, I went to a top-secret location in darkest Buckinghamshire to speak to both Forsyth and opera soprano Melissa Alder, who sings Fallen Soldier.
It was about 2 years ago, and I don't know why I had this idea, but I just did. That although we have an enormous volume of poetry in our language, and although we have an enormous canon of music, and although we pay tribute each year, quite intensively, to all the boys who went out in our uniform and never came home, I couldn't think of a single tribute to them in the form of a song. So I sat down and wrote a poem, 16-line poem, in tribute to all the boys who died.
Sleep in peace, fallen soldier, where your kinsfolk here have laid you, while we who are left tread so soft up above. You are
2 years ago was the 100th anniversary, so to speak, 1914 to now. And I thought, well, we're going to move into a period of many commemorations from First World War, the Somme, etc., which was last July, and then on to the Second World War, 75 years anniversary coming up for most things that happened then, and sort of about Britain, D-Day, and all that. I thought, all those young men and young women who went out as volunteers and never came home, there isn't, I think, a song that says, thank you.
we should have told you more, how deeply we loved you. We knew.
I'd been introduced to Freddie, as he said, we met at church, and he said, I've written this poem, Fallen Soldier. And I read the words, and I was blown away. They are so moving. They really, really touched my soul. My dad was, in fact, an RAF pilot, so really did strike a chord with me. And then when Freddie said, I really think it should be a song, and I was like, oh, yes, wonderful. What's the music? And he said, I don't have any music. I went, oh, okay. And then
So she said, well, I know a guy, he's a British composer called Gareth Williams. I should show it to him maybe. So we did, and he put his thinking cap on and came up with the most beautiful melody. One thing I did about this, when I wrote this thing, I made it specifically not confined to this nation. So it works for the Australians, Canadians, New Zealanders, even South Africans, everybody who ever fought with us, beside us. It's just as apposite for them.
So this actually came out much earlier in the year, about February, and it's been to number one and back.
it's been to number one in iTunes, yes. We first of all released it back in February. And then I think it's sort of been a bit of a slow burn, really. It's sort of, the interest has completely continued since February. And obviously things have hotted up for us quite a lot. Obviously around this time of year now, Remembrance, we had a lot of radio plays around the Battle of the Somme time. And yeah, it's all going in the right direction. It's fantastic.
Let's talk about the video. I mean, it's beautifully produced. How did you get that together? Was that, again, quite a quick response time, etc.?
So that was directed and produced by a wonderful guy called Dominic Best, who I'd originally met at the Opera House, but he works for the BBC and also works freelance for the Opera House. Does a lot of so I worked with him a lot before. Showed him the song when we'd first recorded it, and he loved it. He said, "I love it. I've got some ideas," and immediately was talking, his story through. And I said, to him, we really feel that although it's a song, it's a story. And we wanted the video to reflect that, so that it wasn't just your kind of normal pop video, sort of whatever. It was a story from beginning to end. And I think he's created something, exactly to that spec. And we're delighted with it, aren't we, Freddie?
Yep.
So your first single, will there be an album soon, or will you be an X Factor mentor?
Well, this is one of the facts of life we have run into, that it is very hard to get what you might call the music industry interested today in anything other than an album. It's all album. And the big stars don't issue single tracks anymore. They're all albums. So I think I certainly would love to see an album by from Melissa, and she can do many, many things other than this one song. So she can cross to the major musicals, take songs in the musicals, or classical work like Pie Jesu and Panis Angelicus and stuff like that. You can see in Latin or Italian or English or any language. She has actually, at Twickenham, sung the national anthem in Maori.
Wow, that's extraordinary. So, Melissa, let's go to you on this. So when's the album coming out?
Well, one thing at a time. We were at the Molyneux Stadium in Wolverhampton for their annual Remembrance Day fixture. It was very exciting, and we sang at half-time. It was wonderful to sing to a live audience. It's the first time that we've actually done Fallen Soldier to that many people. The lovely thing for me with that is that it spans the generations. There was young football fans there clapping and cheering for us at the end, which was wonderful.
And at the moment, I understand in Australia there's going to be a huge launch going on, or with this weekend anyway, with poppies all over the iconic Opera House of Sydney. And it's got about 3 or 4 performances there.
That's wonderful. Are you going to Australia then, or somebody else singing it?
Well, no, they're actually, we were trying to get over there, but the time frame was so short to get there and to be back here for the things that we're doing here. It just wasn't going to work. But they're actually, instead of giving it to another singer, which I'm very delighted about, they're actually going to be playing at these events. They're playing our video and our tracks. So that's fantastic.
And in your last moment, you gave us your all.
I think probably the last time we actually fought the troops of another nation wearing their uniform and their badges of rank was in the Falklands. Since then, it's been, so to speak, insurrectionists and terrorists who wear no uniform and can easily shoot a British soldier, throw their rifle behind a bush and say, "I'm just a civilian." And this is very, very different kind of warfare. But we are still bringing home the casualties. Certainly after Afghanistan, we saw the seemingly endless column of coffins with the Union Jack draped over them coming down the tailboard of these transport aircraft back from Afghanistan. And that has slowed up and it virtually disappeared from our TV screens. But we still do have special forces out in the Middle East, and they're in danger. But, of course, hidden. The covert forces, they're still there. We're still using them. So I don't know quite when Britain's sacrifices will end, if ever. But in my lifetime, I'm now 78, I don't think there's been a day when we haven't been at threat. Now, I'm not exactly Mr. Online, but I have memorized this. If you just tap in to www.fallen-soldier.com, it will all come to you.
Everyone keeps saying to me, "So, Freddie, you're going to write something else?" And I think Freddie said that's it. I don't know. I think at the moment we're really, really concentrating on Fallen Soldier. I sing every day at the Opera House. I sing a wide range of genres. My heart is very much in Fallen Soldier at the moment, and where that's going to take us. We just hope to keep growing Fallen Soldier. So that's where my heart is right now.
Sleep in peace, fallen soldier, where your kinsfolk here have laid you, while we soft up above. You are home from the fight, from the clamor, from the danger, laid in the breast of the land that you love. We should have told you more, how deeply we loved you. We knew not how short was the while to kiss and to hold, to cherish your presence, the sound of your laughter, the sound of your smile. When you first marched to the colors, you were young and oh so handsome. You pulled on your badge, standing straight, standing tall, and you gave to us your promise, your sworn word of honor. And in your last moment, you gave us your all. So sleep, fallen soldier, here in your homeland, wrapped in our flag and